just Baek Yisu acting and remarks it's been a while, asking if he's alright, but Dogyeong annoyingly asks who he is and why he's getting all friendly with him before suddenly remembering that he's the dude whose butt he kicked and saying he won't recognize him if he sits in someone else's place. Wang asks what he's trying to say there, so he pulls up a chair, telling him to come and sit here since they're saying the bosses are here to talk, so they should hear them out since it was getting boring sitting here alone. Wang agrees and sits down, asking if he has a cigarette, to which he answers that does, but tells him to not jump him like last time for not having a Marlboro. He holds the lighter for him, which Shogo notices before Dogyeong says there's a lot of different faces this time, remarking that they obviously got Georang before asking if they got HSS as well, hearing which Wang says he's a bit different this time. Shogo gets up and says he's tossed out the wolves and HSS seems to be preoccupied for now before remarking that he only called the bosses here and asking if he's the real one this time. Dogyeong repeats what he said and says he's talking like he was fake last time, so Shogo answers that it doesn't matter who its master is for Tison because that small mountain exactly fits the grave these two twins are going to be buried in. Dogyeong swipes away the cigarette stub he'd burnt out on his jacket, saying it's the expensive stuff, before Shogo sits back down and says there's a different choice as well. Both of them could show Seoul what the real Tison is, together with Oyama taking over Seoul, but Dogyeong tells him to piss off, asking if he didn't hear from father that he'll be the one taking over Oyama and will kill him with his own hands, before asking why he's acting so restless to kill him, saying he gave him everything before leaving Japan, so why is he messing around in Japan? Shogo angrily asks if he thinks they were some sort of toy he got bored of and handed down to him, and says they were already his from the beginning, and tells the others to listen closely as well. Tison will be ripped apart by his hands. If they try stopping him, they'll die too, so they should get in line or else he'll bulldoze all over them as well. Dogyeong starts clapping and says it sounds like a child's mindless rambling which he can't bear listening to, before telling him to go ahead and try it, but warning him that he'll die this time if he doesn't do it right again, and leaves with President Lee and Cha. Once they've left, Wang gets back on call with Chief Jang, who was listening the whole time, and says Dogyeong just seems to have a limp in his leg, so Jang tells him that he's got his guys already there, so they'll take care of it from now. As they're leaving, Dogyeong notices something and excuses himself to go to the bathroom where Jang's guys are waiting for him, so he tells them to do it properly this time. As a man enters a door, he remarks that the world's gotten better, saying back in the day, they used to have to crack open tuna bellies to get this stuff, but now you can just get ham delivered so openly, and that he can't wrap his head around these Korean guys. Someone else confirms that all these are legal, but he corrects him and says they're approved, not legal. Apparently they talk to the people higher up. Another guy says that still, if this sort of stuff is allowed in Korea, the chairman won't just sit idly since this isn't the sort of business he wants, but the man tells him to not worry about that since this is what Shogo wants, and they've decided to follow him. On top of that, he's heard the chairman has decided to move back from the front lines with both Rugasaki and the boss in successor conflict. The chairman has decided to seclude himself in his room and left the organization of the group to the management. And then Baek Dogyeong stupidly marched into the hotel, so he'll probably be turned into rags by now. After locking the door, he turns around to ask about the Korean mercenary soldier and Seishin and the kid, dismissing the two guys before Yisu arrives and asks what he was saying. Meanwhile, Dogyeong dodges the guy's attacks before stumbling, seeing which the leader, Park Chang-hun, says his injured leg is the left one and tells them all to attack slowly and calmly, not thinking of him as a regular gangster and to tenaciously wear him down rather than fighting head-on since he's their prey, so take him down. As a guy rushes at Dogyeong, he punches him before another one grabs him and tells his partner to pound him, but Dogyeong slams them into each other and takes out his dagger to fight Park Chang-hun, remarking that he's awaiting his movement and will look for a critical moment, but the same goes for him as well. Meanwhile, the man says he's seen him before, calling him Baek Dogyeong's twin, but saying he shouldn't have come here now because trained soldiers from Korea have been sent to the real Baek Dogyeong to get him. Yisu repeats his word and says he seems pretty confident, so the man says even Rugasaki won't be able to fight them with that crippled body. Shin suddenly supports Yisu, telling him to just stay downstairs, but he replies that this guy is stepping way over line and asks him if he thinks Baek Dogyeong is doable, revealing that he's Baek Dogyeong or Lee Rugasaki. The real Yisu repeats what they'd said before and says the ones looking for an opportunity from the start was them, as he slashes through the guys, seeing which Park Chang-hu remarks in shock that he jumped forward with his left leg as Yisu stabs two guys at the same time and slams another one down, saying you're the ones who've caught up since they're the ones hunting. Park realizes his Yisu and disbelievingly asks if this was an act from the beginning, so Yisu answers that everyone learns disguised infiltration, after which Park talks into a telecom and tells them to send Alpha in for support, calling himself Beta before telling the other guys to clear out since Alpha is coming. He tells Yisu that he too knows that he was a legend in their scene and earned himself a devoted fan, although he's a bit messed up in the head. Alpha tells Park to piss off and asks if this is for real, saying he should be dead since he killed him that time, hearing which Yisu annoyingly screws up his face, asking if he's the one who did that to his older brother. Alpha, whose ghost in question, asks if he killed Baek Yisu, then so Park tells him that he's Yisu so they should take him down together, but Ghost says there's no way since he killed Yisu before Yisu kicks his face, as Ghost inwardly remarks that he has to be the one to beat Baek Yisu. Ghosts, with no real form or existence, something that is imaginary, the Ghost team consists of such beings who cannot even leave their trace in this world, as G1 confirms that the target is dead and that they're exiting the site. He tells them to incinerate it all, after which G2 takes off his mask in relief, but G1 tells him to put it back on, reminding him that they leave nothing behind, so he wearily complies but takes it off again in the car, remarking how harsh G1 is despite the fact that they completed the mission too and are alone in the car. Suddenly a car crashes into theirs. In the overturned car, G1 hurriedly wakes G2 up as the guys who ambushed them start firing. G1 takes off his mask and gets out, holding a dagger in his hands with G2 behind him as they start attacking, before G2 takes the last guy out, saying they're gunning them down out in the open, and asks G1 if he's alright, so G1 answers that he's alright and tells him to not leave any traces by incinerating them all. As they're standing in front of the burning car, G2 apologizes for not getting G3 and G4's names before noticing G1 smoking a cigarette and asking what happened to leaving no traces. He tells him to not be so harsh and to let him have it since it's his last, as G2 notices the trail of blood going down his leg. He says they should get going quickly, but G1 tells G2 that he'll be the only one leaving since he'll be tracked quickly if he leaves like this, and asks if he forgot, reminding him that they leave nothing behind before walking into the burning wreckage, after which G2 starts screaming. Chief Jang later says the mission was a success and all team members died on site except G2, saying he did well but the mission was leaked somewhere, which is probably because of them being a team. He says from now on, G2 will just be Ghost, hearing which Ghost slowly takes his dagger out before a man enters the room, saying Baek Yisu is back but is under suspicion of being a spy and has been questioned for multiple days, so Jang tells him to bring his uniform since he'll go there himself. Ghost asks who this guy is for him to be acting like that, to which Jang tells him that he's different from Baek Yisu, with the usefulness being completely different. He learned of this later, the existence of Baek Yisu, a living legend who was allowed to exist unlike them who were told to leave no trace. As Ghost reels back from the kick, he asks Park if he said his name was Beta and if he doesn't have a name either, to which Park says that's just a code name and tells him to come to his senses, but Ghost tells him to not worry since getting hit there made him come back to his senses. He tells him to get the guys to cut the lights from the lobby to these restrooms, and once that's done, tells Baek Yisu that he'll show him the power of the Ghost team. Yisu remarks that he can still see flashes of his blade before Ghost catches him off guard from the side. Dogyeong asks if they really have to do this and why they're doing this when everyone has been caught, so Yisu answers that since they've been caught, he's trying to take advantage of it. By now, Chief Jang must be convinced that both he and Dogyeong are alive, so anyone who sees them from now will try to kill them, so considering that Dogyeong's body isn't in perfect condition, they'll try to come after him, which Dogyeong agrees with since even if they go after Yisu, he'll easily take care of them, so Yisu says this is why he'll pretend to be him and become the bait, to which Dogyeong asks about what happened to that guy. Yisu asks who he's talking about, so he clarifies that it's the guy who killed him while they're still on the topic, and asks if he knows who he is, saying he gave him a pretty scar. Shin realizes that he's talking about the gray hair and says he smashed him with a harpoon. Hearing this, Dogyeong asks if his skills weren't average and says he'd heard that he beat Taehyung too, which Shin agrees to, so Dogyeong answers that he still should have finished him that time and let his guard down, but Shin tells him he was surprised as well since they're all trained professionals like them and only know how to eat and kill, remembering how he was able to match him because they received the same training, but he had incredible fighting sense, so it wouldn't be strange if he'd lost to him. He tells Yisu to be on guard against him and not let his guard down, after which Dogyeong asks Shin what Yisu's specialties are, so Shin says he doesn't have any, but if he had to choose, it'd be annihilating such specialists. Ghost attacks Yisu from the side, but he slams him down on the floor while twisting his arm and gets ready to stab him, but Park suddenly kicks the dagger away, so he grabs Ghost's dagger and uses it to block another attack. As the two fall back, Ghosts asks Park if he's trying to be helpful, so Park questions if this is how he says thank you, to which he tells him to support him from now as Yisu pulls of his tie while Shin's words come back, saying there's only one thing he's worried about, which is if the other person who stabbed Dogyeong will stay sane. As they start squaring off against Yisu, Park